Some members of the NATO alliance are starting to get annoyed that Ukraine is starting to make frequent demands. Poland's Deputy Foreign Minister Pawel Jablonski said that reconciliation between his country and Ukraine has not yet reached a light. This, he said, would not have been possible without Kyiv's recognition of the genocide. For information, the genocide in question is the mass killing of ethnic Poles in Volhynia by Ukrainian nationalists during World War II. In an interview, Jablonski said relations between the two neighbors are currently not on good terms due to recent statements by some Ukrainian authorities. Jablonski said he understands the emotion that comes when Ukraine is being attacked by Russia. But Ukraine must also not attack its allies, he said. We support Ukraine insofar as it serves Poland's national interests. So it always has been and always will be, Jablonski said. While there are many issues that the NATO member and Ukraine disagree on, World War II-era carnage is by far the biggest problem. The Polish government classifies the killing of up to 60,000 ethnic Poles by Stepan Bandera's Ukrainian rebel army in 1943 to 1944 as genocide. They have also urged Ukraine to allow the exhumation, warning and prosecuting those responsible. There is no real possibility of Polish-Ukrainian reconciliation without solving this issue, insisted Foreign Minister Jablonski. Poland has been at the center of NATO's efforts to supply Ukraine with arms, ammunition and equipment. The country has also joined a push by 6 Eastern European Union members to block the sale of Ukrainian agricultural exports at below-market prices, under pressure from disaffected farmers. Responding to Ukraine's criticism of the ban earlier this week, the Polish president's foreign policy advisor, Marcin Przydacz, said Kyiv should start appreciating the role Poland has played for Ukraine in recent months and years. Ukraine's foreign ministry then responded by summoning the Polish ambassador to protest that Przydac's remarks were untrue and unacceptable. Meanwhile, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki called Ukraine's move a serious mistake. He even swore that the interests of other countries would never triumph over those of Poland. Tensions and differences of opinion between Kyiv and its allies often arose during the ongoing war with Russia. Recently, tensions have emerged over Ukraine's military strategy and demands on NATO. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is said to have angered some allies ahead of the NATO summit in Vilnius, Lithuania last July. This comes as Zelensky cited the lack of a timetable for the thorny issue of NATO membership, and called the conditions that needed to be met before an invitation to join be issued as absurd. For some US and UK officials, Zelensky's decision to tell his loyalists that Ukraine deserves respect, as NATO met to discuss additional support for Kyiv, was a step too far. UK Defence Secretary Ben Wallace took offense at Zelensky's skeptical comments with allies regarding the large amount of money being sustained to shore up Ukraine's attack on Russia. Wallace said Britain was not an Amazon storehouse that could supply endless weaponry to Kyiv when Zelensky's party handed him a weapons shopping list. Zelensky's comments were also not well received in the U.S. The Washington Post reported sources noting that U.S. officials considered watering down what Kyiv would offer at the summit. Comments made by Zelensky before the last summit did not resonate well in Washington. The U.S. administration is very upset, said a source familiar with the matter who asked not to be named due to the sensitivity of the situation. The source noted that Washington was also distracted by another episode in the war, in which Ukraine appeared to ignore his advice from them. So the U.S. strongly advises Ukraine not to do certain things, but Kyiv does it anyway, sidesteps or doesn't address U.S. issues, and they come to the United States or Washington or the Biden administration, complaining about not being involved in NATO talks, the source said.